From New York, it's That Kevin Show.
See, I knew it.
Come on, Kev. What's a few classified documents between friends?
I told you all the time. I knew it. I knew he had some too.
Here he is, That Kevin McCullough.
And welcome back to Times Square. Kevin McCullough, glad to have you with us at That Kevin Show. Always very entertained to learn about the condition of national security. I'm always wanting to make sure that I kind of have a grasp of what's going on, can tell you about it. But I much prefer to bring in the people that understand it a lot more. And my next guest has done that on several different levels. He served the former president, Donald Trump. He was also chief of staff, the National Security Council. He is now the vice chair of the America First Policy Institute's Center for American Security. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome Mr. Fred Fleitz. Hello, Fred.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for all that you're doing and all that you've done. There's a lot of hot spots on planet Earth right now, and they weren't in existence when the Trump administration left office, and they don't seem to be improving as much. Let me start with the area of Iran. We are seeing them be more bellicose than ever. They are attacking ships in the Strait. They've come after our people. I feel like, have had an insufficient response to their aggressiveness. From where you sit and from your knowledge of what the former president thought about such things, where is the Biden administration going wrong?
You know, it's really worth stressing up front that the world is much more unstable than it was when President Trump was in office. There's no question about that, from the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan to the growing threats from Iran.
I just heard him double down on this last week and insist that he did the right thing there, even this long afterwards.
On Afghanistan?
Yes, Biden did.
Well, it's, you know, this is a man who made climate change the number one national security threat to the United States. His national security policy is incoherent. It's not just incompetent. And it doesn't surprise me that somehow Biden thinks his Afghanistan policy was a success. They're flailing. And when it comes to Iran, we have a situation where Iran has made enormous gains in its nuclear program. Since January 2021, when Joe Biden came into office, Iran had never engaged to the 60% level in uranium enrichment until Biden became president. That's just a hair below weapons grade. It's made other advances in its nuclear program, which means it could make enough enriched uranium to fuel one bomb in about 2 weeks. Now, that uranium would have to be further processed, but still, they're far too close to a weapon. But when it comes to standing up to Iran, it's clear that Iran has taken advantage of a power vacuum in the Middle East to advance its interests. But the problem is we have people like Mike Pence and Mike Pompeo who say, well, we have to stand up to Iran, so let's start bombing Iran. I'm worried about that approach. First of all, I want Congress involved if we cross a red line like that. Congressman Michael Waltz said we need Congress to sign off to give some type of authorization for such a serious step. But what worries me is that Biden is incompetent of putting up some type of serious escalation like that to Iran. I think there'd be a wag the dog scenario where Biden might bomb something symbolic or sink an Iranian ship to sound like he's tough. We have to have a serious response to Iran. I don't think it's going to happen under this administration. We need a new president who will be decisive, use military force prudently, but also use it in a way that our enemies can't be sure what our president is going to do.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. We're speaking with Fred Fleitz of the America First Policy Institute. Iran obviously has funded the work that the Houthis and Hamas and others in the region are carrying out right now. What is the likelihood that they will continue to behave as such, even through the election? Is it to their advantage to try to make hay while the sun shines, as my grandfather would say, or are they accelerating things now because they are afraid if Trump comes back into office, their days are numbered?
I think American adversaries around the world are going to take advantage of this lack of leadership by an American president to advance their interests between now and next January. They're worried Trump will come back in and he'll be a president who they don't want to deal with, who may use military force if it's in America's interests, and will use sanctions and other measures short of war to protect our security. I heard some reports over the weekend that the Iranians have asked their proxies to stop attacking American interests, American troops firing at ships in the Red Sea. I'm skeptical that that's true. I want to hear more details on it. I think Iran's proxies will keep attacking, keep undermining security as long as Biden is president.
I don't think that it takes a brain surgeon to figure that part out. But when we're talking about the weakness that the current administration has shown, there seems to be an area that I kind of keep running back into, and that is we kind of empowered them to do this through the blackmailing of our own energy policy by not pumping oil and natural gas and making it available for cheap prices to our European allies. We allowed Putin in Russia and the mullahs in Iran to get quite rich off of an $80+ barrel per barrel of oil. And when bad guys get rich, they do bad things. How tied to this current conflict and the instability that you cited at the top of the interview, how much of that is connected to energy policy, and could we begin to change that if we went in a different direction ASAP?
It's pretty clear that Russia has been greatly enriched by Biden's war on domestic energy production. It's created opportunities for other energy producers. And this recent decision by Biden to freeze LNG exports from the United States, that's not just helping other producers, that's convincing other nations that we're just not a reliable supplier of energy, and to strike deals with other countries such as Russia and Qatar and Iran. I mean, that's bad for our economy. It's bad for global security. But I think a lot of this can be fixed with a new president who understands that we have to put the interests of the American people first. When Biden came to office, he immediately started feuding with the Saudi royal family over the death of Khashoggi, the
journalist,
Washington Post Iranian journalist who was killed in a Turkish consulate. That was terrible. But President Trump read them the riot act over that. That was done. But to ruin our relationship with Saudi Arabia, our energy and security relationship, because Biden wants to be a proxy for the Washington Post, was not in the interest of our country. Eventually, Biden had to back away from that. But the damage has been done. The Saudis think he's a fool. And we can see other nations like Russia and China, they have come into the area. They're striking new relationships with the Saudis because both nations see the U.S. as an unreliable ally and it's something that they can exploit.
This is a very tricky area because foreign policy does ride on sometimes very tender relationships being kept afloat. And I think that we saw just how much damage was done when he then went hand in hand to Saudi Arabia, begging for them to sell us oil. And they refused to. We're speaking with Fred Fleitz of the America First Policy Institute and former assistant to President Donald Trump. Coming right back from New York State.